The following program is intended for mature audiences.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportsshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Why Mets, huh, Zach?
why Mets?
Well, because...
Can't give the Cubs just a little bit?
I think that if the Cubs have to lose, better to have it happen this way, really. Quick, painless, to the point.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny. Obviously, we all know what today is.
Back to the Future?
It's Back to the Future Day.
Yep.
And when the Cubs win the World Series in Back to the Future 2, how do they win? In a sweep. So it's only fitting in typical Cubs fashion that they get swept.
Even if they won the World Series, it was never going to be just like Back to the Future because they had to beat some fictional AL Miami team in that.
Again,
so
they won the World Series on October 21st, technically.
Remember back in the day, though, when the World Series actually was played and over by this point?
Yeah, right?
That was nice, huh?
enough of that, Grandpa.
That ain't Grandpa. That's a recent development, man. That's been like, what, in the last 10 years or so?
The series get over by the end of October now. It's just the end of October. They played around with the scheduling a little bit to make sure that it does end in October for the most part.
The only way that you're going to get the World Series ending by mid-October again, well, there's two ways. Either you're going to have to shorten the playoffs, which isn't going to happen because they make too much money by adding playoff teams, or you just have to cut the regular season. I think cutting the regular season wouldn't be the worst thing.
I think it'd be great. It would be the perfect thing to do, really. You cut it back to 154 games, and it solves it does a whole lot of things. First off, it shortens the regular season, which is good. It provides maybe a few more off days in the season, which helps everybody. And if you wanted to, you could take the one-game playoff and make it a three-game series if you wanted to. But in any case, 154 games makes a whole lot more sense than 162. But I've always heard that the Players Union and the owners don't want to give up the what would be 8 extra paydays.
It's 8 extra paydays for the players, and it's 8 extra dates to sell tickets and concessions to the owners. Yeah. So
I think it only made it to November one time, the Yankees, one year when they won it.
But that's when Jeter got the Mr. November tag.
But anyway, yeah, so I think our Cubbies are done, guys. It's pretty much over at this point.
Well, I mean, it is only the first inning.
If you got to get down 4-zip, do it in the first inning. I mean, I'm not making a joke. That's the way you want to do it.
No, that's true.
Well, that didn't help. That didn't help the Blue Jays last night.
Yeah, but hey, they won today, so they're still
staying alive.
You know why they won today, Mike?
Why is that?
Because I was wearing my Troy Tulowitzki Long Beach T-shirt.
Uh-oh.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah.
You better wear that bitch the rest of the series, I guess, huh?
I was wearing my Jays hat and my Tulowitzki shirt, and
nice.
Tulo.
Although the Mets do have a Long Beach guy as well. Travis d'Arnaud.
Yeah, he's a good catcher. I have him on my fantasy team. He's a pretty good player. That Daniel Murphy, Jesus, that dude just fucking fell totally asleep in the playoffs here. My God. Did he hit another home run in this game yet?
No, that was Duda.
He'll hit one.
Just to give you guys a sense of how important the Blue Jays run has been to Canada this season. On Monday, we had ourselves an election in Canada.
Yeah,
yes.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And
you guys are Democratic?
Yes, kind of. But
I thought
anyway,
it was just Emperor Harper.
No. Emperor Harper got thrown down the elevator shaft.
Is he out now because of this?
Harper and the Conservatives lost, not as badly as the NDP. Good God, did the NDP lose bad. But the Conservatives still hung on to around 100 seats, but the Liberals, with 184 seats, new Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Oh.
Son of former Prime Minister
Pierre Trudeau. So,
distant relative of the writer of my favorite comic strip, Gary Trudeau.
And from all I've heard so far, I expect a lot of unintentional comedy from Trudeau.
And quickly, Mike, is Jack Trudeau, former NFL quarterback, related to these
Trudeaus?
Yes.
I don't know.
I wonder if he is. It's kind of an unusual name, so you'd probably think maybe. I will find out while you guys speak to each other.
Doesn't this guy like to box and take his shirt off, and
he does. He likes to box. He likes to take his shirt off, and he has a really bad habit of unintentionally falling down flights of stairs.
Well, I saw the thing on John Oliver.
Was that hysterical or what?
But he does it as a party trick.
It's like a party trick where he pretends to fall downstairs, where it's like he's standing next to somebody at a party next to a staircase.
Yeah.
And then he'll be like, oh, you almost knocked me downstairs. And like, that's a trick he plays. Only while demonstrating it on camera, he accidentally then fell downstairs.
Did you see the HBO, the John Oliver thing, Mike?
Yes.
My God, was that funny.
On the Canadian election with Mulcair, Trudeau, and Harper? Yeah.
They didn't have a whole lot good to say about Harper, did they?
I didn't vote for Harper, but I will give him his due. I think John Oliver was exaggerating for comedy. Fact is, 10 years in power, the country didn't collapse, which a lot of people were suspecting when he was first elected, so hats off to him. As Prime Minister designate, Trudeau said in his acceptance speech, conservatives are our neighbors, not our enemies.
Well,
Neighbors.
Little unity here.
Neighbors. He's a uniter, not a divider. As he falls down the stairs, he likes to bring us home. But
we need a little more of that here in the U.S.
Well, you had Gerald Ford.
That wasn't like a gimmick for him.
Or the best part I liked about that John Oliver special was when that one journalist was like, someone asked him, like, because Pierre Trudeau was known for being very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
Just didn't have that same intelligence. Not intellectually. He has an
emotional intelligence.
Oh, that's bad.
He's basically she was like, well, no. So you're immediately you're thinking, well, okay, he must be not very smart, but he's got an emotional intelligence. I don't even know what that means.
No,
that means that he can like communicate with people well, maybe.
Just he gave a very good speech.
Quick side note of trivia here. As far as I can tell, former Colts quarterback Jack Trudeau not related to the Trudeaus of Canada.
But the whole reason I brought all this up was because the election happened to be going on at the same time as Game 3 of the ALCS.
Well, if you guys are good Americans like you should have been completely ignoring the election, right?
Well, Peter Mansbridge, who is the chief anchor at CBC and who was anchoring the election special, actually said, and don't worry, guys, I will be updating you on the score of the Jays game throughout the night. So he actually stopped election coverage to let everyone know how the Jays game was going.
Good. Got to keep your priorities straight in these matters.
It's like, yes, some returns might be coming back, but I just want to let everyone know first that the Jays are winning.
I got to tell you, man, these Toronto crowds have been fantastic. Just fantastic.
Really
I mean, they pulled a bit of a Cleveland in Game 5 of the LTS.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, I said it last week, I'll say it again. I do not condone this sort of thing. I didn't condone it when the Browns rained down plastic beer bottles on the refs against Jacksonville. I didn't condone it when the Jays did it, but I sure understand it. I can't say it's justified, but I sure get why they did it.
Ever since I moved back to Kitchener, which is closer to Toronto than where I was in London for a while, I've been going to a couple of Jays games every season. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get to any playoff games because I don't have a money tree. But just kind of thinking to myself, like, as a sports fan, you know, as a Jays fan for practically my whole life, I've tried to put myself in that situation. And I'd like to think that, no, I wouldn't throw crap on the field. But then I thought, okay, maybe I wouldn't throw crap on the field. But what if I was there and drunk? And then it starts becoming a bit more understandable.
I've only ever been to one sporting event where I was drunk. And yes, it does change your behavior. I'm never one to stand up and yell at players and the team and stuff. Mm-hmm. The one time I drank at an Indians game, I was screaming at people, and not at people in the stands, but at the players. And just acting like a complete ass. And I thought, okay, I'm never doing that again.
Greg, we need to get you up to Canada next summer. I'll take you to a Jays game, and I want to see drunk Greg at a Jays game.
My thing with the beers, my thing with the beers, especially at a Jays game, they've got to cost about $12.50, I would think. I wouldn't waste one like that.
They get higher alcohol content in Canada.
This is true, yeah.
And the Jays made a big deal this past season of the fact that not only could you get Molson and the Bat and Sleeman's, but you could also get craft beers from across Ontario.
What was the joke John Oliver made about Labatt's? I remember, it cracked me up.
about that one candidate in the election who had to resign. He's
right. Yeah. He pissed in his
It's
cup.
no different than drinking a cup of a mug of Labatt Blue.
Right.
Which, by the way, is true. Labatt is god awful.
It really is.
Molson's good.
I like Molson a lot. I always have.
I love Molson, but Labatt is our Budweiser, where it's like.
Oh no, dude, it's not as good as Budweiser. I've had both, and believe me, Budweiser's way better than Labatt. It is. Trust me. But I don't know. Maybe Budweiser's terrible now. I haven't had a beer in a long time, 10, 15 years now. So maybe it's different.
Not since that incident at the Indians.
Right,
game.
exactly.
Yeah. I've definitely been to more than a couple games drunk, especially as a Arizona State college football student.
I don't know. I think you have to be drunk to get in the stadium there, don't
Now,
you?
Zach, as far as I understand, it's illegal to sell alcohol to people under 21 years of age.
Oh, of course.
In the United States.
Yeah.
Yes, that is. No, these were only the games after I turned 21.
Right.
I didn't get wasted at the apartment and then wasted in the parking lot and then put a couple beers in my cargo shorts pockets and shotgun them in line when people weren't watching. I didn't do that.
Of course not.
You didn't get me to chant F the Ducks when they were playing the Oregon.
I know it's Oregon, but that has to be weird for you chanting.
Oh, it felt really weird. Like I started doing it for like 5 or 6 rounds, and then I pulled back a second. I'm like, "Whoa,
That was a little too easy, huh?"
no, it wasn't. It was too easy. It was just like that's strange. I don't like this.
So the games that you went to, who all did you see? I guess you saw Oregon, right?
Yeah, I saw Oregon, Stanford, SC.
Oh, so you saw some of the good ones.
Yeah.
Because like here, if you really want to go to a Buckeyes game, you got to go see the Western Michigans.
Right.
Yeah, you can't get like tickets to a really good game.
But these were on student tickets.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The only sports you had to pay for were men's basketball and football. And you could buy a season ticket package for like $80 or maybe $100, and it gets you admission as long as you show up and you get there on time. They'll let you into the building as long as there's a seat in the student section. And I was there when we were kind of on the way back up, so I didn't. The couple of years after were when the tickets got in more and more demand. Like for the Notre Dame game last year, that was a big deal, and people had to camp out. And when the Pac-12 championship game was there, you had to camp out for that. But we never had to do anything like that because we were still kind of in the middle on the way to being through that run of competitiveness.
When I was at Toledo, everything was free, but that's Toledo. It's not Ohio State or Arizona State.
That's the same thing here at Long Beach. Everything's free as long as you have your student ID.
Yeah. Anyway, where were we at before I sidetracked us with the Arizona State talk? We were talking about the election, I think, wasn't it?
Well, no, I just wanted to bring up the election to say that people were talking that they actually interrupted election coverage to update people on the Jays score. So,
yeah, I think your Jays are still in this thing. I think they've still got a shot.
3-2 isn't the hole that 3-1 is. That's for sure.
No, you just got to go win 2 in Kansas City. But if there's any team that can do it, I think Toronto is the one that can do it. Anybody else in the American League, I think the series is over. But the Jays are these two teams. That's what's so cool about these two teams is that it's like they're both never out of a game. You know, it's like no matter which side's winning, you're never entirely comfortable.
I think it's clear that these are the two best teams in the AL, and it's not like last season where you had like flukes in both leagues and the championship series were both kind of like, oh, well, that's interesting.
You know, I wanted to get Andy on while this Cubs thing was happening, but probably not now.
I don't know, because again, the Cubs weren't expected to be this good this fast. So.
I mean, I shouldn't say I don't want to have him on. I don't think he would do it now, is what I'm saying.
I hope Cubs fans aren't like, oh God, it's all over again. I hope they understand that this was just, it's good enough that they made the playoffs and that they beat the Cardinals, and anything else would have been gravy afterwards.
And they're a year early too, maybe even 2 years. I think we talked about it.
It's a Royals thing, right?
Yeah, I think we talked about it when we did our baseball thing way back in April or whenever it was, that we figured the Cubs were still a year or two away, and so to get this far already is a good sign.
So is this a big endorsement of Madden or what? Because you look at what he was able to do in Tampa, now what he was able to do this early in Chicago.
Yeah,
it's definitely Madden and Epstein. I mean, look at what Epstein did in Boston, have this thing turn around so quickly.
You've got one of the best GMs in baseball, and I think the best manager in baseball. So yeah, as long as those two guys stay in place, they're gonna get their World Series at some point. I mean, it's not going to be this year, may not be next year, but it's in the foreseeable future.
I hope it happens next year, just so all the people on the whole Back to the Future bandwagon have to deal with the fact that it was just 1 year off and not perfect.
That would be great, wouldn't it? I'm so tired of this Back to the Future shit. I can't tell you.
Yeah, me too. I kind of can't wait for 2015 to be over. So we can
I got to tell you, this American League though, this is insane. I mean, I like both of these teams, and I don't know what to do. I'm happy either way, and this is I think the first time in my life I can remember where I really do not have a rooting interest one way or the other. I'm just okay, whoever wins wins. Not from a disinterested standpoint, from a fact that I like both the teams a lot, and it's kind of like, well, I don't know where to fall on this, so I'm happy either way it goes.
Well, I mean, I obviously would like to see the Jays win, but after the divisional series, I was actually looking at, like, I wouldn't be too upset if any of the championship series teams won it. Like, none of these teams are objectionable to me. The
lovable Mets are all of a sudden the bad guys here. It's just been a strange postseason.
We talked about it last week. Anyone who goes up against, all these teams have good narratives, but anyone who goes up against the Cubs immediately becomes the Cardinals.
Yeah, but I do think that if the Cubs have to lose, and it looks like they're going to, this is the way it had to happen. It would have just been terrible to see them have another
go to the World Series and lose.
A 2003 where they were that close and didn't get it, or, if they've got to go down, just quick and painless is the way to do it. I think I even posted that on the boards. Just get it over with. It's like you've got to get a tooth pulled. Okay, let's just get in there, yank it out, and be done and move forward. And that's the way it needs to be. They didn't need another Bartman thing, even though I never thought it was Bartman's fault, but that's the legend now, so that's the way it goes. But yeah, just get it done.
Well, you know what? It wasn't Bartman's fault, but that's just the way that history works sometimes.
Yep, exactly.
Sucks, but the narrative has been written, so it's not going to unwrite itself.
And then I thought, if they win the World Series, he could actually come out of hiding, probably. So if there's anybody out there that's really, really disappointed, it's got to be Steve Bartman, right? Because now he's got to go at least another year of not showing his face anywhere.
Speaking of Hoth, can we talk about the Star Wars trailer?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Holy shit.
It's going to be something, huh?
Is it bad that I've watched it at least 6 times since yesterday and cried every single time?
No, I had
joy.
I've had this reaction to a very select few movie trailers, and they've all been fantastic. So,
no, you know what? I'm going to go against the grain here. Yes, it is bad that you've done that. You've only watched it 6 times. What the hell? I watched it like 20.
it's just like, well, the thing was, like, I watched it on TV during Monday Night Football. I was like, oh my God, so great. But that was the only time I'd seen it. And then I was kind of sitting around later and I'm like, I need to see it again. I need to really appreciate and get kind of the details. So I got these nice new headphones that are high quality. And they actually came in a Ducks fan pack. So they're Ducks headphones. Yes, I have an issue. And plugged them into my computer.
We're talking about the new Star Wars movie. We already have issues. The Duck headphones are nothing, believe me.
I put it up to 1080p, turned up the volume as loud as it could be, and then it just, like, it came over me. It's like, oh my God. But you're kind of watching it goes along, and then when the Star Wars music really kicks in, it's like, ah.
Oh, no, you know what got me? The part that I watch it for, just to see this part, is when Han Solo goes, it's true, all of it.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Yeah.
All of it. That's just like, oh my God.
Let me see if I can find the... there was a thing on Facebook. The quote from Han Solo when he first met everybody. Next to it, it's all real.
Well, Han Solo's such a great character, but, that's besides the point. But it also just kind of drives home how much of a fucking misstep the prequels were. I mean, midi-chlorians. It's like, nope, it's not this mystical, semi-divine force. No, it's space Lyme disease.
Oh, here it is. Yeah. There's no mystical energy field that controls my destiny.
You don't believe in the Force, do you?
Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other. I've seen a lot of strange stuff, but I've never seen anything to make me believe there's one all-powerful force controlling everything. There's No mystical energy field controls my destiny. It's all a lot of simple tricks and nonsense.
It's all a lot of simple tricks and nonsense. Then it's true. All of it.
All of it.
Dark side, the Jedi.
You know what? I'm going to say it. I get chills when I hear him say that. It's just like, oh my God. And it just looks, the look of it is just so fantastic.
Well, and see, I think that's the big difference between this and the prequels. You can tell just by the way things are shot. Yeah, we all got hyped for the prequel trailer, and obviously we were wrong in retrospect. But you just look at the way things are shot and framed and how things kind of move together. There's a low threshold of failure for it, is what I'm saying.
Well,
like even if it's just okay, like that's as bad as it could be if it was just okay.
The only thing that worries me about it is the story. I don't know what the story is going to be, but I've got to think that J.J. Abrams with the Star Trek reboots, and he wasn't even really a big Star Trek fan, did a pretty solid job with that. Yeah. And from my understanding, he's actually a pretty big Star Wars fan, I think. Am I right about that, Mike?
Yeah. He is actually, yeah. In fact, that was a lot of Star Trek fans complained that he was turning Star Trek into Star Wars with the new movies.
So what I'm thinking is that with what he did with Star Trek, and he wasn't even a fan, you turn him loose with that talent and his ability on Star Wars, something that he actually loves, it's going to be just off the charts.
Another thing, like the original movies had a very gritty look to them, whereas the prequels, everything was CGI and shiny and polished.
You know, that was one of my favorite.
It made sense at the time because it's like, well, this is the time before the Empire when everything was bright and shiny, and it's like. But then you think about it, that's not the aesthetic of Star Wars.
No,
it was a futuristic world, but it was lived in.
That was one of my favorite things about Star Wars, because I've always been a science fiction fan ever since I was a kid. And one of my favorite things about Star Wars was the fact that the ships looked a little banged up. You could see dirt on things, and they looked real.
If you want to see gritty, like lived-in science fiction, new Battlestar Galactica.
I've got to get to that because science fiction is probably my favorite genre as far as movies and TV shows go. And one of the things I loved about Star Wars was the fact that it, like Zach said, it looked lived in, it looked real, legit. And this trailer, just the way, like there's a shot in it where you can see off in the distance a ship going up into the air.
Yeah.
It just looks so freaking real. The first trailer, the teaser trailer, with the big Imperial Star Destroyer laying there in the desert, looked real. Like I said, if what he did with Star Trek, and he's not even a fan of Star Trek, and I mean, I can take or leave his two Star Trek movies. Visually, they were fantastic, and the effects and all that were great.
I enjoyed them. They were fun.
Benedict Cumberbatch was fun as Khan.
Yeah. But, if he did that on a franchise he's not even that crazy about, I can't imagine what Star Wars is going to be. But it's going to be just. I'm gonna call my shot right now. I think it's going to be the best of all the movies.
Is anyone willing to say highest grossing movie of all time? Does it beat out?
Oh, definitely, absolutely, absolutely.
You saw the single day pre-sale. Mm-hmm. Like they just we're going to put the sales online 2 months in advance, and they. Like, there's already showings that are completely sold out.
I'm not planning on seeing this movie until February.
I was thinking mid-January, honestly. I was right there with you, Mike. I'm like, I'll wait until January. Or, I'm just not even going to bother.
Like, and these are all IMAX tickets, too. So you know that those are going for big bucks. Mm-hmm. And some people are going to, resell them on the secondary market if they can. Which is insane to think about.
For a movie.
Resell a movie ticket.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that really caught me in those clips in this new trailer, the aerial battles, like the space battles with X-Wings, it's what it should have always looked like.
Yeah.
It's just it's not like the special editions where they added a bunch of garbage and it looks messy. It's not like the prequels where, again, there's too many things happening at once. There's a lot of stuff happening, but it just works. It looks put together, like everything was done completely on purpose and with thought.
Also, no 8-year-old kid. No 8-year-old kid going, let's try spinning. That's a good trick.
Every shot in that trailer, every single shot in that trailer is just flawlessly composed and perfect. There's not a misfire in it. It's just unbelievable. And we've seen, 2 minutes and 20 seconds of it. It's already that freaking good.
I know.
Come on.
I think the trailer is already the best movie of the year.
And then when the TIE Fighter goes by and you hear the old sound effect from the original, oh my God, it's just off the charts, man. It's going to be so cool.
I've never been this damn excited about a movie.
I can only think of one downside to this new era of Star Wars.
What's that? You're going to waste all your money?
No. that there's no Palpatine, because god damn it, Palpatine was the one saving grace of the prequels. He was the one guy who made those movies watchable, because he was just so hammy.
That's the other thing that's kind of fun is they have the new villain trying to resurrect Darth Vader's mission, or the Sith or whatever. And it'll be interesting to see if he's just a one-off guy, kind of like Darth Maul was. Because I think Darth Maul was a pretty good villain for what he was.
Yeah, but he was only in the movie for like 45 seconds.
I know.
Darth Maul was awesome. They should have used him more.
Right, you're like, oh my god, who's this guy? Crazy red face, double lightsaber, whoa!
This guy's gonna fuck some shit up, and then
he gets sliced in half, and he's there for 10 minutes and falls in a hole.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
I was reading something. There was a guy that worked with George Lucas on the first three, and I guess what the consensus is among people in the know is that the prequels went off the rails because this guy that left was more about the story and that sort of thing, whereas Lucas was all about, let's just wow them with effects and CGI and just blow their minds with that. And that's what, a lot of people think that had this other guy stuck it out, the prequels might have been pretty good, but he left and you saw what we ended up with.
You want to hear the craziest thing about George Lucas that I heard through a Star Wars podcast? The Star Wars Minute, which is excellent. They go minute by minute through every film.
Wow.
And break down, to an insane degree about what happened in that 60 seconds of footage. Anyway, George Lucas doesn't call lightsabers lightsabers.
What's he call them?
Laser swords.
George Lucas calls lightsabers what the off-brand lightsabers are called to get around the
At
copyright.
the Kmart, yeah.
They talked to somebody that worked on the prequels in the graphics department. And whenever Lucas would come around, make the laser sword, shinier or whatever. He never called it a lightsaber for whatever.
Can you imagine how many kids over the years have woken up on Christmas morning, open the present, and it's the freaking laser sword from the Kmart, and they're disappointed? They're like, no, I wanted a lightsaber, not this.
Luke Skywalker's lightsaber.
Right.
Darth Vader's lightsaber.
But yeah, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. And I was thinking about this too. I'm old, yeah, but you know what? I get to see all of the original movies when they came out in the theater.
I saw all the special editions when they put them in theaters.
Yeah.
Same for me, but
that was, because as a kid, I watched the movies, but I had never got to see them on the big screen. So, when they came out on special edition in the theater, my grandpa took me to go see them, and those were.
I went to see Star
really
Wars with one of my first girlfriends. Her name was Julie, and I think that I might have had a chance with her until I went to see Star Wars with her.
So, Greg, my one question that I have for you about John Tortorella's hiring for the new head coach of your Columbus Blue Jackets. Over/under on how many practices it takes for him to drag the cannon on the ice and shoot it at Bobrovsky.
I'm going to say 12.
Or maybe not Bobrovsky. Which player is he going to shoot with the cannon first?
Bobrovsky. It's got to be, right?
If you can stop a cannonball, you can stop a puck. Let's go.
Exactly. I don't know what to think about this. Mike sent me a text today, and he's like, lots to talk about tonight. The Blue Jackets have a new coach. Mm-hmm. I went to NHL.com. I look, and it says, Tortorella hired to replace Richards as Blue Jackets coach. And I sent Mike a text back. It just said, oh, God. I don't know what to make of this. I don't. I mean, first off,
I thought Columbus wanted to win.
Well, that was my thought. The team has been a disaster out of the gate. There's no question about it. They're 0-7 now. They're getting outscored by this incredible amount. I mean, they're just not anything close to what they were supposed to be this year. So I'm not too upset about the move. I mean, maybe a little bit early. I don't know, but
that's why I think Tortorella is going to work. Because this team probably needs a little kick in the ass, right?
I think that too, yeah.
So what is Tortorella known for doing?
Kicking people in the ass and shooting the cannon at his goalie.
Right. And
getting in fights with other coaches.
He's known for, how bad has the Columbus defense been in these first 7 games?
It's been horrific. Just horrific.
And John Tortorella is known for bringing things tight into the goaltender, playing better defense, and blocking a hell ton of shots. He's probably a good guy for this group. At least right this second, to kind of kick them in the ass, make them play better defense, protect their goalie, up Bobrovsky's save percentage, give him that confidence back that he already said he's lost after the third or fourth game he said that. It's definitely an abrupt move, and Tortorella is always somebody that is a controversial figure, or at least a
polarizing.
Polarizing, that's what I mean. There you go. He's going to strike people one way or the other, but I think it's a good move for Columbus. It's a 3-year contract.
No, we'll never see the end of that, but yeah.
And Columbus has to give up a second-round pick to Vancouver because they're signing him during the season. So I think it should help the Blue Jackets because if they wanted to be contenders, they can't fall any further behind. And they're still going to make a pretty good run of it as it is, after starting 0-7. But
right. I mean, well, this is a team that I was reading. I didn't realize that they were this good at the end of the year. They went 15-1 to end the season last year.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I joked they're going to win the Stanley Cup and all that. I know that's unrealistic, but there was enough talent there where you go, if enough things go the right way, sure, they might make one of those miracle runs. I mean, but for them to come out and play as poorly as they have so far, and you guys remember, I asked you last week, should I panic yet? But 0-7, and the goal differential is just off the charts bad. And, I know that we like to make fun of him, and he's certainly a personality and all that, but I was going to ask you guys, because I don't know as much, from a serious hockey standpoint, do you think he's a good move? And I guess you think so, Zach, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's one move.
I am going to disagree.
Okay.
We all saw what happened during his stint in Vancouver, how he took a team loaded with talent, a team that had a track record of regularly making the playoffs, and he just not only did he sink that, but he then made an ass of himself, storming another team's locker room, and I'm using his words here, to get the coach. I'm sorry, but whatever goodwill he built up for himself, winning the cup in Tampa, having a few good years, building the Rangers up, all of that seemed like, I'm sorry, that seemed to have evaporated in Vancouver. And to me, what happened in Vancouver showed that as a coach, he had reached that point where the game had passed him by.
I think in Vancouver, it was a different situation. Vancouver, I think we talked about it when it happened back then. They didn't have the personnel for a Tortorella team. They were older, first off, a lot of older guys. But they were a skill team. They were a finesse team. And Tortorella was brought in like, no, you're not going to play finesse and skill anymore. You're not going to go with speed. You're going to make the Sedin brothers try to be shot blockers and play on the penalty kill and grind it out. It's like that was never their game. It was never going to work with them. But I think Columbus, outside of the couple of skill guys, but even Johansson he's been compared to Ryan Getzlaf, and Getzlaf is kind of a grinder. Saad can be a grinder. It's more of a blue-collar working type team than a finesse team with a bunch of Europeans on it that he's going to try to mold into a hard-working team. I think it didn't work in Vancouver because of philosophy differences. It was just kind of a dumb move for him to go there in the first place.
Right, and the thing about the Jackets, too, when you brought this up, Zach, is they're a lot younger than the Canucks were when Tortorella took over. I mean, this is a very, very young team. I think I read they're the youngest team in the NHL. Did they get caught up in their own press clippings? I don't know what. Are they country clubbing it a little bit? I don't know, but I think you're right. They needed a kick in the ass. I'm willing to give Tortorella a shot here.
Can't be any worse than 0-7, right?
Exactly. I mean, at this point, I'd take Mike Keenan if he's out there, so I'm okay with this.
I don't know. I think we saw Tortorella reach angry old man stages of his career in Vancouver, and I don't think this guy is a viable NHL coach anymore. He's too much of a clown. He's too much of a distraction. I don't think...
we need a little bit of that in Columbus, though, don't you think?
Obviously, look, you can't do worse than 0-7. I mean, God's sakes, the Maple Leafs are a terrible team this season, and they already have a better record.
I think another difference, though, especially when it comes to the blow-ups and things like that, Columbus isn't exactly New York or a Canadian city. There's like one or two beat writers.
He doesn't have the spotlight, especially this time of year. No one is paying attention to the Blue Jackets. It's all about the Buckeyes down there right now. So he's going to have free reign, so that'll help. But, like I said, we can use a little bit of this, some old school NHL style hockey in Columbus here, right? Eddie Shore.
Old hockey, like Eddie Shore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you just get Brian Burke as your GM and double down on truculence?
Okay. He can dream up something, right? But yeah, they have just been abysmal so far. I mean,
they've been abysmal, but Montreal, out to a 7-0 start, the complete opposite of the Blue Jackets.
The best start in franchise history. The Montreal Canadiens, over 100 years as a hockey team, and this is their best start in history.
They've never started a season 7-0 before?
Never.
They've never even prior to the season, they had never started 4-0.
Wow, no kidding.
Yep.
That's shocking. I mean, because they've got, 26 cups, right?
24.
24?
24 cups, and they had a couple teams in the 70s that were just probably player for player some of the best teams ever assembled.
And never won more than 4 straight to start a season before this year? That's amazing to me. Just amazing. Mm-hmm. Wow. But yeah, so hopefully this will turn the I don't know. I mean, man, it's not like they're I mean, I guess thank God they're not in the West with the start. I mean, that would hurt even more, but
yeah, they're the only team without a win in the league right now.
It's been a big disappointment, I'll be honest. I mean, I expected them to be a lot better at this. And the thing of it was that I know preseason doesn't mean jack, but still you had, Brandon Saad was scoring a lot of goals in the preseason. They looked okay in the preseason. They come out and start the regular season. Bobrovsky's a sieve, but I don't know how much of that you blame on him as so much as the defense. And I just don't get it. So something had to be done.
But speaking of the West, who I'm happy to see actually still going strong? Winnipeg. Yeah.
They won like their first. They went 4-1, 4-2 right now. They're a nice solid start to the season for the Peg. The other thing is, even though Columbus is going to have a hard road, and I think they can still do it, it's really hard to make up ground in the NHL. It's easier to start a season ahead than it is to climb in late. So for Winnipeg to make the start, especially for the position they have to fight for, this is big for them to have that nice little jump start. But, of course, that little jump start is only 2 points ahead of the Blackhawks. Point ahead of Minnesota was a game in hand on them. God, the West is just a monster.
Well, you talk about the slow start. I mean, go back to the Jackets for a second and last year with all the injuries and everything where they really weren't even healthy until sometime in like January, February. Mm-hmm. And they weren't nearly this bad coming out of the gate. Went 15-1 to finish the season and still weren't even close to a playoff spot.
If we want to talk about falling behind, my Maple Leafs are a dumpster fire, but honestly, I don't think anyone could.
They're supposed to be, though. They're
supposed to be. But I want to talk about the Ducks because
Hey, we scored
a goal. I saw you posted on Facebook.
we scored 2 goals. We actually scored 4 goals in the game. We got 2 goals from forwards. First 2 goals of the season from forwards. And we got a win. We're in the column, baby. 3 points. 1-3-1.
Okay. Suck it, Calgary.
Come on. Hockey's weird, man. You hit a hot goalie, and maybe, the puck doesn't bounce the right way. And even before the Ducks scored their couple goals, they hit 2 posts in the game against Minnesota. And I'm like, oh, my God, we're never going to score again. This is awful. This is the end of the world.
I felt bad because they had such an abysmal outing when they debuted their very nice-looking third jerseys.
Which I went to the game on Sunday, went in the team store, and I'm like, let me see these things. As soon as it was in my hand and I was looking at it, I had to buy it.
You bought it, right?
It's in my closet.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at it right now. Every time I look at it, I'm like, I just want to wear you. You're orange. You got a nice logo on the front.
But I was just thinking, I saw highlights from that game, and I'm like, oh, they got their asses kicked. They're never going to wear that jersey again, are they?
They're supposed to wear it like 12 times, I think.
I think you have to wear it like there's a minimum number of times you have to wear a third jersey if you have one. I remember that back from the Mooterist days when Dallas wore them for the contractually obligated number of times before burning them all.
Hey, I just thought of this. You know what the problem with the Jackets is here is they changed the shoulder patch.
Getting rid of the Civil War cap is what did it.
Look what happened, yeah. I just, real quick, their goal differential right now, minus 21.
Ooh.
In 7 games.
Shit, even the Maple Leafs have managed a somewhat respectable -5.
Right. And the next closest team is Calgary at minus 13. Mm-hmm. God, this is so bad I actually called them Calgary instead of Calgary. That's how off
Calgary isn't been, it has not been a good fall for Calgary between the Flames having the worst start in franchise history and the election results not going the way that Calgary usually votes. But Not a good fall for them.
Yeah, it's I don't know, but we'll see with Tortorella. He's going to do something stupid. I mean, there's no question about that. I just hope that it's not too stupid.
Which Metro Division team's locker room does he try to storm? I'm
going to go off the beaten path here a little bit and say Washington. You would expect New York, probably, because he's a former Rangers coach. I'm going to say Washington. That's the one I'm going to go on. Zach, what do you think?
Not Washington. He would. Nobody would go attack no-necked Barry Trotz.
Okay. I'm going to back up and change my vote. I'm going to go with Carolina.
Who the hell is even the Bill Peters?
Who the hell?
When you're the bully, you want to pick a fight. You go with somebody you can kick their ass, right? So I'm going to go with Carolina.
I was trying to think, who's the coach?
Who the hell is anything for Carolina? What is that team?
They're a team waiting to trade Eric Stahl finally.
They're a team that's ahead of the Blue Jackets in the standings right now.
Well, everyone is ahead of the Blue Jackets in the standings.
This is true.
Yeah. 1-4.
I think he goes after Boston's locker. Oh, wait, no, Boston's on the Metro. Damn it. See, I was confused, and I thought that there would actually be a metropolitan city.
Oh, no. Silly boy. Come on now.
Maybe Mike Johnston in Pittsburgh. Maybe.
But I don't know. Does he want to go into that Pittsburgh locker room, and does he want to have to deal with the beast that is Phil Kessel?
Hey, why don't you just leave our guys alone, Torts? Huh? Why don't you go back to your own locker room, you jerk? Leave my guys alone. I'll fight you for a hot dog.
Speaking of which, last I checked, is Phil Kessel still outscoring Sidney Crosby?
Yeah, Crosby finally got his first goal of the season the other day. So
that's good for him.
Off the schneid for Crosby. Pittsburgh started 0-3 too, and they've won 3 straight. So St. Louis has had a good start too. Nashville picking up where they left off last year. Dallas playing well.
Well, while we're talking hockey,
San Jose, Martin Jones. Yeah, okay, sure. Take a goalie, be good, San Jose. Do all your things.
That doesn't matter. None of it matters in the end.
Arizona's playing well too.
Yeah, Arizona's going to screw them out of themselves.
Yeah, you want to know how screwed up this hockey season is right now? I picked up Mike Smith for our fantasy league, and I was thrilled about it. That's how bad my fucking goalies are right now.
Hey, in my fantasy team, Duncan Keefe's out 4 to 6 weeks, okay? So.
Oh, no.
But
his batteries run down or something, or what?
No. Here's the thing. They're saying 4 to 6 weeks. I suspect at the next Blackhawks game, he'll suit up, and he'll play with one leg and score a goal. And then, the Terminator music will play as he leaves the ice.
Anyway, while we're here talking hockey, how are McDavid and Eichel doing so far?
McDavid has 3 goals. I know that because he is a proud member of the Montreal Maroons.
Boy, you fell ass backwards right into that one, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
He's got 3 goals and 2 assists, McDavid does.
In, 6 games?
And Eichel.
2 goals, that's it. Those 2 highlight reel goals he scored in his first couple of games.
That's it.
Everybody was, oh my God, Jack Eichel. That's it.
So have they compared the first 3 goals of Connor McDavid for the first 3 goals of Wayne Gretzky? Because I expect them to just keep doing that.
I haven't seen any articles to that effect. Maybe they get the message after the first one.
But the thing is, and I'm surprised about this, and I made the call before the season, outside Calder candidates from the Phoenix Coyote or the Arizona Coyotes, leading the rookie scoring, Max Domi and Anthony Duclair.
Yeah, oh yeah. Max Domi has been amazing.
Is Max Domi related to Ty Domi?
His son.
Okay.
He's his son.
Okay.
Not a good though.
Which is funny. Max Domi can actually play hockey. And I say that with all due respect to Ty Domi. He was an amazing part of those 2000s Leafs teams, but let's just call a spade here. He was not the most technically sound player.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zach's Tabs. Zach's Tabs!
Good job, Mike. Let's start off with a couple of gambling things, shall we?
Absolutely.
So Al Michaels, he hasn't been afraid to slyly reference point spreads or who might be watching a blowout game late when he's doing the broadcast. One of the prop bets going into Sunday night's game with the Patriots and the Colts, there was an over-under of 2.5 Deflategate mentions from the broadcast. So Al Michaels opened the broadcast.
You know, there's an over-under out there about how many times we'll say Deflategate tonight. Deflategate, 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 Deflate. 4. You win the over. People are crazy.
And everyone who bet the over won. Al Michaels knew there was a prop bet, and he just said, screw you guys, Deflategate, Deflategate, Deflategate.
Does that count, though?
I was just going to say, serious question about that. Does that count? Because he knew of the over-under, which meant he could influence it, therefore fixing the game, so to speak, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
So I don't.
Bovada, the online site Bovada, paid it out. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow, because I think it's fixed. That's rigged. He threw it.
kind of. Yeah, but you also have to wonder: did Al maybe throw some cash on that one himself?
Another reason why you got to kind of disqualify it, right? He sees the prop bet. He says, okay, all I've got to do is say it 3 times, and I hit the over, and I make a whole bunch of money. I don't know about this.
What do you think of like the broadcasters though actively avoiding mentioning the point spread?
I think it's absolutely ridiculous because the NFL pretends like gambling just doesn't happen with their sport.
When gambling is one of the biggest reasons it's as big as it is.
Oh, you take away the gambling out of the NFL, and it's about as popular as hockey. I think it's funny that they act like it doesn't exist, yet they release injury reports that serve what purpose other than gambling? I guess fantasy sports now, I suppose.
Yeah, and then even the fantasy sports, they've got ties to FanDuel and DraftKings, who, we've talked about.
Speaking of, Mike, great transition.
Woo!
That's why he gets the big bucks.
The Nevada Gaming Commission has announced a cease and desist to all daily fantasy sites in the state of Nevada.
Really?
Oh.
Which, shouldn't be a big deal because they're not gambling, but of course it's a big deal because
It's gambling.
they're gambling.
Was there reasoning for it? I mean, what was the reasoning they gave for it?
Nevada Gaming Control Board staff has analyzed the legality of pay-to-play daily fantasy sports pursuant to the Nevada Gaming Control Act and the regulations adopted thereunder. DFS constitutes gambling under Nevada law. More specifically, DFS meets the definition of a game or gambling game pursuant to Chapter 463 of the Nevada Revised Statutes. Moreover, because DFS involves wagering on the collective performance of individuals participating in sporting events under current law, regulation, approvals, the person must possess a license to operate a sports pool. Basically, they're saying that you can't do it in the state of Nevada because we have Vegas and we make money off sports bets, so get off our corner.
Well, it sounds, too, a little bit like they can't regulate it like they do their own gambling, so they don't want any part of it.
But the interesting thing from a legal standpoint is that they said that it constitutes gambling under Nevada law, which means that you now have a body representative of a state government in the U.S. saying legally this is gambling. These sites could find themselves in front of a judge who says, yes, I agree with the state of Nevada, you're gambling.
Well, the other thing that's interesting that I didn't realize, daily fantasy sports are legal in 45 out of the 50 states. So there are 5 states, I guess one of them is now Nevada, that it was illegal to play these things anyway.
Hasn't a third one of these things popped up, too? I thought I saw an ad or heard an ad.
Draft offs.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
They're a big sponsor with the NHL right now. You see them on a lot of the boards, and I see the commercial in Ducks games a bunch with Rich Eisen.
The official daily fantasy site of Rich Eisen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one step closer to calling it straight out gambling.
Yeah.
And getting some government regulation in here to end this fucking charade. You know what? Not only with regulation, that'll bring to light a lot of these shady partnerships between networks and the league, and hopefully it'll just all get cleaned up.
Well, see, that's what troubles me, too, a little bit, is that the NFL acts like gambling doesn't exist, yet is in cahoots with, which one is it, DraftKings or the other one?
DraftKings and FanDuel.
Both of them.
Both of them, yeah. And it's a fine line. I suppose you could make some sort of ridiculous argument that it's not gambling, but it is, and they're right there in bed with it, yet they pretend like gambling doesn't exist. It's just the hypocrisy of this league just knows no bounds.
Let's move across the pond to... You want to see a soccer hooligan fight?
Always. It's the best part of the sport.
Manchester City and Sevilla.
Baby takes the morning train.
Manchester City, not United. They were playing Sevilla of the Spanish La Liga.
How many freaking teams does Manchester have anyway? Like
2.
Oh, just 2? Okay.
United and City.
All
and I'm
right.
sure there's other ones at lower levels.
Oh, geez, hold on a minute.
So the 2 fans from Manchester City and Sevilla, they met in the streets of Manchester and started throwing chairs at each other.
This is awesome.
This is why I think the city of Philadelphia would be happier in, the UK. 'cause
Oh, yeah, give Philadelphia a British Premier League team and see what happens. Yeah,
Wow.
soccer.
I I'd say Cleveland and Philadelphia are the two NFL fan bases somewhat on par with these because, of course, Philly fans booed Santa Claus. With Cleveland, I was referencing throwing the bottles at the referees.
Wasn't it Philadelphia that threw snowballs at the Dallas player that was hurt in a game a few years ago?
Michael Irving. Yes.
Of course it was.
Well, it could have been somewhere else. I don't know.
And again,
Could it have been anywhere else, Greg? Really, though?
Well, I'm trying to be fair to our Philadelphia listeners, just in case there are some. But you're right. Screw them.
They
right, exactly.
booed Santa Claus. This is a fan base without remorse.
You know Doug Martin, the running back for the Tampa Bay Bucks?
I do indeed. He actually had a pretty good game a couple weeks ago.
You know what his nickname is?
Something with a hamster, isn't it?
Muscle Hamster.
That's weird.
It is
But
weird.
here's the thing. He hates that nickname.
I would too if I were called Muscle Hamster.
I guess he prefers to be called the Duggernaut.
That's better.
But
The Duggernaut.
this was something that popped up on Twitter over the weekend, but I guess since 2013, he did an interview with a Tampa radio station saying that, and in the interview he said, "Stop calling me Muscle Hamster. I'm just telling everybody right now, stop calling me Muscle Hamster.
That always works.
Duggernator, Muscle and Hustle, any of those are fine, but Muscle Hamster has to stop." So you know what happens when somebody hates a nickname as vehemently as...
Oh, yeah.
Muscle Hamster.
Everyone calls him that.
We're going to call you Muscle Hamster to the end of your career, Doug Martin.
Yeah. Okay, what's next?
There was a raccoon that got caught at the Giants-Eagles game.
Well, he got caught doing what? Was he stealing or?
Oh no, he just wanted to watch the game.
Well, he didn't buy a ticket.
He didn't. He didn't. He looked very suspicious with that mask on his face.
You know how the NFL is, man.
But the biggest news of the last week comes from the reliable pages of Playboy. Playboy magazine is no longer going to feature nude photography.
My question is, did they think people were serious when they said, "I read it for the articles"?
Exactly. I was about to say the same thing. They didn't really think that, right?
Well, the thing is, it got brought up in class today in our media history thing for a project that we had to do. And the teacher decided to tell us that he bought Playboy a lot, and the articles were actually very good, he said. They interviewed like jazz musicians and stuff back in the 70s.
Right. They've done some cool interviews really, the interview is the best part. They're famous for a John Lennon interview they did right before he died. I mean, that was a really good one. But like Mike said, do they seriously think that that's really why people read the magazine? I mean, come on.
The other thing that is kind of points to that same thing, like, if you want to see naked women, you don't have to go buy Playboy anymore.
You don't even have to pay for porn online anymore.
No.
Not
that I would. I've heard that. I wouldn't know that personally, but I've heard that.
Yeah, it's just, it's a different time, and these things aren't, well, they're still kind of risque to a certain extent.
Yeah, but are they going to turn into like FHM or one of those? Or I forget the other one. The
Maxim.
Yeah, I mean, is that the route they're going to go, basically?
They said they're still going to show women in provocative poses, just not nude.
There's just no respect for tradition these days. It just drives me nuts.
I mean, honestly, to be perfectly blunt, given the facts that you can find any porn that you want in 30 seconds online at most, it's probably at the point where we just need to shut Playboy down because its time has just passed. And I say the same for Maxim. Like, does Maxim really serve a purpose anymore?
I think there are guys out there that kind of maybe believe the stuff that's written, and it kind of like, I think Maxim is kind of like the male version of Cosmo.
Yeah,
where people that don't know any better go, well, this must be the way I'm supposed to act, Yeah, I think that's it.
It appeals to the very macho male thing where it's, you want chicks? This is how you get chicks.
Right. Bang chicks and 8 easy steps.
Look at this cool stuff, and you can dress like a man.
But yeah, you're right, Mike. In a world of the vajankle and the heel dough, I don't think that Playboy pretty tame by comparison.
Yeah, Playboy's just boring in the world where you can get the vajankle. I mean, come on.
All right, is that it?
That is it.
Okie doke. You know the routine by now, folks. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. You can check out the football show at BA Football Show, a geek show for the geek show. The website is basicallyasportshow.com. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and the YouTubes. And with that, I believe we are finished. Any last words, guys?
R.I.P. Cubs. Maybe next time. Mets up 6-1, top of the sixth. Unless something truly amazing happens, I think this is the end of the Chicago Cubs.
Yes. Any final thoughts?
Especially as it looks like Starling Castro is holding his elbow.
Oh, not good.
And wincing.
Any final thoughts, Maggle?
Go Jays, go.
All right.
Yeah, go Jays. America's team.
Go everybody. I just couldn't be happier with these playoffs. I don't know what to do with myself. All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
See ya.
Please hang up and try again.